Hello everyone and welcome to this AQUAS tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to be using AQUAS 1.3 and I'm going to show you how you can use it to create rivers. Now in this scene I have a terrain that has an empty river in it, and first off what we're going to do is, maybe you're already familiar with the AQUAS quick setup. Now with AQUAS 1.3 there is also a river setup. If we go to window up here and we go to AQUAS, we see the river setup, and it looks similar to the quick setup that was available in AQUAS before. First what we need to do is we need to specify a water level for our terrain. For this case, I already happen to know that the water level is, or should be, 20. Then it asks us for a terrain and a camera, and we're simply gonna drag those down here. My camera is the first person character because I've added a first person controller from the standard assets, and we now can simply click add river plane, and we get the water added to our scene. Now, one difference you might notice is that unlike with the quick setup, we don't get a round water plane but a rectangular one. This is because the flow map that we're going to use for the river flow simulation is rectangular and has to fit exactly on the water plane that we're using. And yeah, well, now we have the water plane, and AQUAS has added the water plane automatically to this parameter here. It's required to record a river reference image. The river reference image is important for us to draw our flow map because it shows us where the river actually is, and we now can click create river reference image. And we can see that in our project manager a new folder has been created. It's called River References, and in here we have our river reference image that we just took. And if I open this up, this is what it looks like, and it's going to help us draw our flow map. Now AQUAS cannot draw flow maps. It supports flow maps, but it can't draw them. We need to use an external tool, and as it happens, there's a tool available to paint flow maps with. It's called Flowmap Painter, and I'm going to show you where to find it. Let me just quickly open up the browser, and in Google we're simply going to type in Flowmap Painter, and the first result is it's from techartist.com. And it's an app that has been written or created with Unity. There's a version for Windows and a version for Mac. For now I'm going to use the Windows version because that's what I'm using. And we're going to give it some time to download and open it up. Okay, there it is. Okay, and we're simply going to open up the Flowmap binary, Flowmap Painter, and yes, we're going to click play, and there it is. Now this is what it looks like. It gives us a very basic texture that we can use, but this is of no use for us because we want to use our own river reference image. This tool works pretty straightforward. You click somewhere, you draw, and it draws a flow map for you, and you can see a preview here. Now let's just click clear flow map because that's not what we want to do. We want to load our river reference image. Now for that we go in the Explorer, we go to our folder where we have the river reference image, and I'm going to rename it because the name now is rather long. I'm just going to keep it to ref, and I'm going to copy the path and go to Flowmap Painter, and I'm going to paste that path in here and add the file name ref.jpg. And for the This is the custom texture path where I pasted that in. Now I will also paste the same path to the save to line here, because that's where the flow map's going to be saved afterwards. And you can also specify a name. I'm going to just say this is my flow map, and you can play around with the texture output texture size, but it doesn't matter because we need to keep it as small as possible. I will show you later. We want the UV tiling to set to 1 because we don't want our image tiled. And now we simply click load custom tiling texture, and there's our river reference image that we just took. Now you see the cursor, what it looks like. You can, if you scroll with the middle mouse button, you can increase the strength. If you click the middle mouse button and move the mouse, you can increase the overall size. And if you click X, you go into erase mode. Then you can erase parts of what you've already painted. Now it seems very straightforward, but unfortunately it's not, because Flowmap Painter sadly doesn't have features like painting splines and all that, all those things to make it as perfect as possible. Instead you have to draw by hand, which yeah, it's pretty difficult to make it precise, so it requires some practice, and one will probably have to, at least for me, that's I often have to paint flow maps multiple times before they look the way I want them to. Now I'm simply gonna tick this flow lines just so I can see the direction that the flow map is being painted. And now I'm simply gonna start and draw the flow map along this river. But before I paint, let me tell you, I don't know why, but for some reason the flow map looks more natural, the river flow looks more natural the faster you paint. And that of course makes it a bit more difficult, but it's in the end it will look better. Now let me quickly increase the flow line scale so we can see it a bit better. And now I'm simply gonna draw the flow map something like this. I'm not sure this is perfect. I'm gonna clear and draw it again. Okay, and that's not perfect now. I don't think it's perfect. We'll see, but for now it's gonna be enough for demonstration purposes. I'm simply gonna click bake to texture, and it's saved it in the same directory. Now we're gonna go back to Unity, and we select our water plane and go down to the material settings, and here we have the flow map parameter that is empty. We're simply gonna drag and drop the flow map that we just painted in there, and the water is still not flowing. To make it flow, we need to increase the flow speed. I'm gonna set it to something like 0.5, and yeah, now it's flowing, but we see that we have visible artifacts there. That's because of the import settings. We can reduce or even completely remove those artifacts by altering the import settings. Click the flow map, and in the inspector, in the import settings, I'm going to set the format to true color and the max size to 256, and the filter mode to point, because I don't want to have filtering, and click apply. Oh, maybe I want to have trilinear filtering. No, let's keep it at point filtering. And now we see, well, it's not perfect, but it flows along the river path fairly well. You see that at certain points you have these little borders. I don't know if you can see them. Those are artifacts that come from using the wrong filters. If I use trilinear filtering, it won't show these artifacts, but in return at some points it might stretch out the water a little bit. So it really is a balancing act to find the perfect settings and to draw a nice looking flow map that won't cause any artifacts and will make for a natural flow. Now, one thing I need to yet add is the underwater effects. That works just as it works with the quick setup. I'm simply going to click it, and now we're ready to go and have a look at our river. And here I am. And yeah, that's our river. You can just quickly walk over to the other side and go to a spot where we have a curve. The river is flowing around a curve, and okay, now one thing is that the flow map is it's a sum of all movement of the normal textures of the water. So the higher the small wave speed and medium wave speed, the higher those values, the less the river will follow along its path. So if I set this to, say, 0, it will follow along the path much more perfectly, but it won't look natural anymore. So if I increase the wave speed to something very high, then it won't follow along the path anymore. So that's the balancing act that one has to go through. Now, one thing I want to show you is that AQUAS can use flow maps in both gamma and linear color space. Now I am in gamma color space, but if I change the color space to linear, we will see a very strange behavior, which is this. So everything's totally wrong now, and this is because Unity alters the colors before it passes them to the shaders, and that breaks the flow map in the end. But we can fix that by simply going to the water plane, and there we go to the material settings, and we simply tick this box under the flow speed that says using linear color space, and then the flow map works again. Okay, one last thing is that you don't have to, I mean, there's a lot of techniques when painting flow maps. You don't necessarily need to have a continuous flow. In this case, I have a very, very narrow river. In some cases, you will have a large river with like an island on it, or rocks standing in the water, and yeah, stuff like that. And at those points, usually you will have your water flow, your water flowing around those objects and not right through them. And to do that, usually you click X in Flowmap Painter and go to erase mode, and then around the objects that the water isn't supposed to flow through, you simply delete the water flow and get a much more natural look. And I just wanted to show you an example where I did this. This is a scene from a feature video that I'm currently making for AQUAS 1.3, and here around the bridge, if I just click play, you can see it. Now you see that at the bridge it flows through the bridge where it can flow through, but in this spot it flows slowly or even stops flowing completely. That's because at this point I erase the flow map. So yeah, there's a lot of different stuff that you can do with flow maps on AQUAS. I hope this video helped, and if you have questions or need advice, please feel free to contact me or leave a post on the forum. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.